Hello, and thank you for tuning in to J. Kerna for Astrology. Today is Thursday, March 23rd, 2023, and we are here to discuss Pluto's ingress into 0 degrees of Aquarius today and the next 2 years, 2023 and 2024, as Pluto shifts in and out of the 29th degree of Capricorn and into the 0th and early degrees of Aquarius before finally moving forward into Aquarius in 2024 and for the next 20 years or so until 2043. This is single-handedly the biggest transit, or what I suspect will be the biggest transit of my lifetime. This is representing a huge shift in collective consciousness, a shift that we'll see in social and societal changes over the next 20 years or so. Since Pluto represents transformation, this will be a life-changing event. Pluto takes 248 years to complete an orbit. So if you divide that by the 12 zodiacal constellations / signs, you get about 20 years in each sign. When Pluto switches signs, it is a transition that is felt by the entire collective. Pluto is the process of breakdown and destruction, taking something, crumbling it up, and using it as fertilizer to rebuild. Transforms by intensifying the energy where it is to expose the shadow side of that element. Anything that's not aligned with authenticity or integrity, the symbolic and mythological phoenix rebuilds from the ashes of its destruction to emerge stronger than before. Think of Pluto, I like to think of the transformative power of when a person hits rock bottom, where they have no choice but to change and adapt. The point of Pluto and Scorpio, the energy it rules, is to overcome adversity and learn to channel that into personal power. Since Pluto takes so long in each sign, when it changes signs, it represents a generational milestone. We can look to our Pluto in Scorpio generation, our millennials, to guide the way these next 2 years, as they will have Pluto in its sign of rulership within their natal and birth chart. For the Pluto in Scorpio generation are 1984 to around 1995-1996. The years of 1995 and 1996 are similar to 2023 and 2024, in that Pluto was shifting between the 29th degree of one sign and the 0th degree of the next sign. So 1995 and 1996 is where you'll see the cusp of a millennial or a Generation Z, as Pluto shifted from the late degrees of Scorpio in the millennial generation into the early degrees of Sagittarius, our freedom-loving Generation Z. Might sound a little scary, destruction and rebuilding from the ashes, but it's all metaphorical. There's nothing really to be afraid of here. Change is the only constant. Take it from a natal Gemini moon and Mars. Now, your moon being placed in a sign indicates that's where you get emotional fulfillment, and your Mars is your motivation and drive. So having both my moon and my Mars in the sign of Gemini means that I am motivated by change. Gemini's immutable air sign is very adaptable and versatile. So I am motivated for freedom, independence, variety, and I find emotional fulfillment this way as well. Gemini and Mercury, the planet that rules Gemini, it also rules Virgo. Mercury rules communication, dialogue, and the dissemination of information, which, as you can see, I get to do on a daily basis in my work as an astrologer. My moon and Mars are in the sign of Gemini, motivated by change, adaptability, and variety. And my North Node, the energy I'm meant to learn where I'm headed, and my part of fortune, where I'm most gifted and lucky, in the signs of Aquarius, which is ruled by the planet Uranus along with Saturn. Uranus representing change, especially unexpected change. You could say that change is a daily theme in my life, especially with Uranus being in my 3rd house of daily life, and that I've had to learn to embrace it because it's a part of my daily life, more so than the average individual. Along the way, I hope to be able to model for you adaptability to change, especially with Uranus and Taurus. Since Pluto reveals what's done in the darker shadow, and it intensifies the energy of where it's been, we should talk about what that looks like. Pluto will be revealing anything that's been done in the dark. So any corruption, any lack of integrity, any lack of taking accountability for one's actions, any manipulation for personal gain or power, any dishonesty, any corner cutting, and in general, anywhere where we've lacked integrity. If you're living aligned with integrity and authenticity, then you have absolutely nothing to fear. Pluto, along with Mars, deliver karma. So if you're living a life aligned with authenticity and integrity, then you have absolutely nothing to fear. So as Pluto's transforming, it intensifies or exaggerates the energy, creating pressure. Pressure so significant that we're forced to notice it, so that we're forced to change. Otherwise, why would we? An imbalance of Pluto can look like using one's powers of intuition for personal gain, manipulating others or situations for personal wealth, power, or status. It can go to extremes. Scorpio and Pluto longs to merge souls, so it can become obsessive and possessive. And for anyone out there who is using their powers of intuition to take advantage of or pull a fast one over someone that you perceive as below you, well, you're in for some karma. If you truly had power, you wouldn't need to use others to maintain it. What perceived power or gratification those who lie, steal, cheat, cut corners, or otherwise manipulate others for personal gain and satisfaction will always face karma and backlash. What you put out comes back. Pluto and Capricorn, when imbalanced, can be overly obsessed with money to the point of materialism, or an overfixation of power to the point where they become status obsessed or power obsessed, or misuse that power and manipulate others for personal gain. Capricorn is a very hard-working sign, so we can see workaholism, especially if you've fallen into the very Capricorn corporation trap. We also see Machiavellian tendencies, where the ends justifies the means, thinking that they can justify their behavior so long as it gets them to where they're trying to go. This shift into Aquarius is asking you to release all of that. It's asking you to shed the victim identity and remind yourself that life isn't happening to you. It's happening for you. You alone have the power to change it. Remember, our brains have what's called neuroplasticity. You have the power to change your thoughts, which affect your emotions, which affect your behaviors, which create your reality. You alone hold that key. This includes whatever unexpected events come your way, to have grace in the moment. Stay present and appreciate what's right in front of you, especially before it's too late and before it's gone. Having grace through loss means remembering that separation is a myth. Energy is neither created nor destroyed. So when we move on, we remain connected to those we love. You know that, and you feel it in your heart, and you carry the memories of your loved ones with you everywhere you go. This is true also when relationships end. Even if the two parties never meet again, there are some soul contracts that are so strong that they see each other in their dreams. They remain connected, even through years of distance, years apart, and miles of distance. Those friends are on the twin flame journey. For anyone forgetting that they already have the tools and powers and everything they need to be successful, I'd like you to go pick up a copy of The Alchemist. You can borrow it from your local library, or you can buy a copy and keep it on your bookshelf like I do. There was a time in my life where I reread the story every year for a refresher. There's nothing to be afraid of with Pluto changing signs from Capricorn to Aquarius. Life happens with or without us, whether we're ready or not. There really isn't a status quo. We're responsible for our own evolution in this life. Life will offer us many opportunities to reflect our authenticity back onto us, to ensure we are living a life aligned with integrity. Capricorn and Aquarius are both Saturn-ruled signs, but Aquarius brings a slightly different flavor to the table because it also has Uranus as a ruler. Now, Uranus is in Taurus, and it has been since 2018, and it will be there until 2026. So we want to keep this interaction in mind, with Taurus being ruled by Venus and Taurus being very focused on our resourcefulness, our resources, our money, our food, and our natural resources that give us power. It has been in Capricorn since 2008, reconfiguring all things Capricornian during its 20-year transit there. We can look back to 2008, and the economy that I graduated into from high school in 2009 was quite abysmal. That's been an ongoing trend for my millennial generation and Generation Z behind us ever since. While Pluto has been visiting Capricorn, it's been reconfiguring all things traditional. The traditional way of doing things is disintegrating. Materialism and the American dream. And Capricorn has brought us transformation to power and who holds it. Resources, especially financial ones. Traditions, especially conservative ones. Capricorn energy and Saturn, the planet that rules Capricorn, have to do with the following topic. The way we've always done things, traditions, values, especially conservative ones, big business, capitalism and corporations, power structures, government, and hierarchies that organize structures within larger structures, finance, wealth, the stock market's effect on the economy, material success, group and service oriented. Think of like a worker bee environment, like a nurse or a government employee. Government employee would be very hardworking, structured, ambitious. It's been in the sign of Capricorn. It's been intensifying the shadow side of that energy. Power being held by the top 1%, a minority when you look at the big picture. Wealthy being our royals here in America. It's being intensified to expose the corruption that lies behind that and creating pressure so that we can change and ultimately fix and create a better reality for all of us. That's more fair and more equitable in terms of opportunity, not outcome. Pluto will experience a series of retrogrades over the next 2 years, shifting it between the 29th, that critical anaretic final degree where one sign becomes the next, and the early degrees of Aquarius. So this is going to be, since Pluto takes a long time to move, it's going to take a long time for us to notice and feel the effects as well. So pay attention to this over both 2023 and 2024. Aquarius comes immediately after Capricorn in the zodiac calendar, and anything that follows one sign is an answer to that previous sign's energy. Into what I think this Pluto in Aquarius may bring the collective, let's take a look back in history and see what the previous Pluto in Aquarius era brought to the table. Maybe we'll find some patterns and themes. Pluto was last in Aquarius from 1778 to 1798. We saw sweeping changes to social order and public rights. The ratification of the United States Constitution, June of 1788. Uranus, the planet that now rules Aquarian energy, along with Saturn, its traditional ruler, was discovered under this Pluto in Aquarius transit in 1781. The Industrial Revolution, which began in 1760 with the invention of the spinning jenny, continued on through Pluto in Aquarius being the heart of it until 1900. This was the transition from creating goods by hand to machine. We had the Enlightenment, which was from 1730 to 1780, but that final peak during Pluto in Aquarius. We saw a radical reorganization of politics, philosophy, science, and communication. In 1792, the publication of The Vindication of the Rights of Women was published. Aquarian energy includes the following: genius, possibly a mad one, eccentric, aloof, and quirky, free-thinking, freedom-seeking, and free-spirited, innovative, independent, and entrepreneurial, techie, or technologically advanced, always in on the latest trends, probably the trendsetter, humanitarian, working toward the greater collective good and connected to the unconscious collective. So now what we think Pluto in Aquarius may bring. Since Pluto transforms through destruction and rebuilds from the ashes like the metaphorical phoenix, and it intensifies and supercharges the energy of the sign it's in order to expose the corruption and shadow side underneath to ultimately correct it, we'll see a lot of Aquarian theme. Preservation of personal rights and self-expression and authenticity. Tech-savvy and humanitarian, so we'll see a rise in environmentalism and humanitarianism. We'll probably see more increased funding for these types of things. But remember, it intensifies this energy, which can take it out of control. So we may also see the shadow side of some of these seemingly beneficial environmental movements, like the effects of cobalt mining in the Congo, which are used to power our battery-operated devices and our cell phone. We may see an increase in civil rights and social activism. We may see a shift in power from small, select groups of people, the top 1%, to larger groups of people. When this is balanced, this could look like collaborative, local, self-sustainable groups of people. When imbalanced, we could see cults and the rise of cult leaders, especially with Neptune in Pisces and Saturn in Pisces until 2026. Neptune in Pisces, Neptune being one of the rulers of Pisces, strengthening and benefiting the sign, but also Saturn karmic lessons in the sign of Pisces involving avoidance, escapism, so people joining cults potentially to escape reality and potentially being hoodwinked and manipulated. So please watch out for that, especially through 2026. Please also watch out for that online as Pluto is moving into Aquarius, Aquarius ruling networks, the World Wide Web, technology. Watch for scams on the internet now more than ever. Check your passwords. Make them tight, update them regularly, change them regularly. This is how you keep yourself safe in an increasingly data-driven world. Make them complicated. Have a variety of capital, lowercase, numbers, and special characters. Even better, don't repeat them among accounts. I know it's incredibly annoying because we need an account for this, an account for that, this doctor, this store, literally everything anymore. You can use a service to house those passwords. I use one. I'm not sponsored, so I'm not mentioning it, but you can also create this yourself or create some sort of an Excel file. This next Pluto and Aquarius transit will bring our next industrial revolution. We already see advancements in things like AI with ChatGPT and other software. We saw Lensa recently. I'm using Lensa as my photo for this account. We'll see more of that. We'll get to see the kinks worked out, and by the end of this 20-year transit, we'll see a completely different world. We've got Meta and Metaverse in the works right now, and I know it's easy to sit back and laugh, but as things are built, there are kinks and quirks along the way that ultimately get you to a product that we won't be laughing at in the end. Various energy rules networks. This could include networks of friends, social media networks. Maybe we'll be using our social media accounts for something powerful and transformative or collectively beneficial rather than simply as a means of escaping reality or killing time. But networks also meaning networks of transportation, trains, planes especially. This past year has shown us, especially since February, with all of the plane activity and near misses with planes. Hopefully we don't see anything like that happen today, but near misses where any imbalance in this delicate network of communication that our planes and our trains operate from, and any neglect of maintaining that can have disastrous consequences. This would be a really good example of Pluto's effect. Remember, if you're already aligned with authenticity and integrity, if you're already doing the work and signing off, you're actually maintaining those trains that you're signing off the paperwork for, and you're communicating and everyone is doing their job and showing up to work present and clear-minded and sober, we shouldn't really have these issues. Aquarius can also involve the nervous system, our neurons, our brains, and how that's all connect electrical signals. So we may see a focus on brain and neural health moving forward. Since Aquarian energy is very free-spirited and all about preserving one's personal power and liberty, we may see an increase in sovereignty and more people standing up for what they believe in. More people rising up and standing in their personal power. Some other predictions we may see: control of intellectual properties, wrested away from corporations and returned back to the individual creators. A heroic and much-needed resurrection of actual and authentic creativity and innovation. Technologies emerging that will become dominant mediums for the next century, after the rule-following and self-imposed restriction of Saturn-ruled Capricorn. The soul longs for authenticity above recognition and conventionality. It longs for more freedom over security and individuality over status quo. It longs for autonomy over authoritarianism. The children of Pluto and Sagittarius, born between 1995 or 1996 and 2008, Generation Z, take power, bringing a revitalized sense of possibility, personal empowerment, optimism, and opportunity for change, especially toward greater social integration and integrity. We'll be freed from Capricorn's obsession with power and control and money, past structured order, and this shift into Aquarius will allow us to focus forward on the future and freedom. Phones, social media, and the data they house are currently merely tools of surveillance, advertising, and influence, controlled by the plutocrat. Aquarius offers us a chance to confront these plutocrats and wrest more control of the stream of information back into our own hands. We may also be in for more wild weather. So this could be partially due to Uranus and Taurus, Uranus being the planet of unexpected change and rebellion, Taurus being the Mother Earth sign representing Earth energy, weather, but Pluto also in Capricorn, and Pluto being in this 29th degree of Capricorn, affecting Capricorn also being a sign, an Earth sign, so representing things, both Taurus and Capricorn representing things like the economy, finances, resources, and our own resourcefulness. Now, as we wrap up our discussion on Pluto leaving the 29th degree of Capricorn for 0 degrees of Aquarius, let's talk about the aspects that are in play. Here's Pluto from center. Here is the Sun, 2 degrees of Aries. The Sun, our soul's expression, with Mercury, our conscious logical minds. So our focus over here in Aries, Aries being ruled by the planet Mars over here in Gemini, which is also at the 29th critical degree, about to change signs, Mars being debilitated in Cancer. We'll pause there. Pluto has been at this 29th degree since February, 29th degree of Capricorn. It'll be entering the 0th degree today, March 23rd, 2023. And the years of 2023 and 2024 will be big years of endings, collapse that transform. Collapse that leads to transformation. All right, so let's take a look here, a little deeper. Pluto rules Scorpio. What's in Scorpio? We have our South Node heading toward Libra. South Node in Scorpio, where it's been since January of 2022, and where it will remain until July of 2023, switching signs into Libra. So it's been testing our joint finances, it's been testing our investments, our mortgages, our loans. South Node also shows what we're leaving behind. So in Scorpio, we're leaving behind the shadow. Any shady investments, any criminal behavior, anything done in the dark, anything manipulative or Machiavellian, anything for power or personal satisfaction or gratification, any victim mentalities, any betrayal. What's done in the dark will be coming to light, and then we'll be shifting into shedding patterns of codependency and people-pleasing and focusing on our one-on-one relationships. So away from the economy onto one-on-one relationships. But for now, Pluto and Mars are deliverers of karma. They'll be in opposition in about a month. Pluto and Mars are deliverers of karma, both at a critical degree. Pluto having just switched signs and Mars about to in 2 days. Pluto in square, so see how this is a 90-degree square, the nodes. From the perspective of Pluto, forming a square to the nodes. So we have our South Node in Scorpio, Scorpio ruled by Mars and Pluto, the deliverers of karma. So these are working together. The nodes bring our fated events. So our destiny, what we're collectively moving toward, is our North Node. We're being tested along this financial axis. Taurus being personal money and resources, food, energy, really any resource, versus shared collected money, inheritances, mortgages, loans, and what we're collectively leaving behind. So the shadow of Scorpio, betrayal, manipulation, victim mentality, power obsession, manipulating others for personal gain or satisfaction.